And so, like, when I'm painting these, like, I'm thinking a little bit of, I mean, this is Sophia Loren, but this is Dita Von Teese, you know?
I mean, honestly, dancer. That hair looks amazingly like Sophia Loren. Like, now that you say it's like I definitely know, but...
It's kind of expressionistic, right?
Yes.
And Halle Berry is sort of there, but I wasn't sure if I was still able to capture her. But it was weird for me because I felt part of it, but also sort of removed. Of course, I loved it once I was there, and I was like, wow, it'd be great to live in this bubble.
That's kind of what I'm getting. It's like you are there, but then it's removed. I mean, the faces are not... I mean, you're not copying them. It's like, well, then you'd have a photograph.
Yeah.
So it's your own interpretation.
And I feel like this... You know, in the late 1900s too was when Proust was writing, and the whole notion of the dandy came about with like Oscar Wilde and people like that. And I always felt like those guys' placement of the idea of the dandy is when you're sort of part of something, but you're also a little separate from it too. You're like at the party, but you're in the chair looking and observing.
It's
people.
Good to be a little bit objective when you're trying to.
I think so.
Oh, definitely.
I hope so. And for me as an artist, you know, I realize that really these are dreams that, like, if you're a kid in Hebron, Nebraska, you could get Vogue. And you can look through it.
Oh, it's totally dreamy. Like out of reach, but it's there in your hand, pages. And it's like this, it's here, and it's just, it evokes feeling. I mean, I think.
I hope so. I hope each of them have a different kind of, like, for me, like, she was like sort of this Wonder Woman, like, superhero who felt really, really empowered.
Oh, that's exactly how I've always felt as a model, like Wonder Woman.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I really felt like their power. Like, I really wanted to step in the model's shoes and really... You know, kind of, I felt like as an artist, we're always parading our art on display, you know, or as a designer too, they're always putting out work, you know, like 2 or 3 bodies of work every year and like moving on. I mean, but it's a weird world because, like, you know, it's a commercial world. They'll even say, like, with Lagerfeld, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, like, you're a master. I show in galleries and museums.
Yeah, that's really nice.
But you really know what you're doing. And
it looks like Italian, like...
well, this was at the Grand Palais in Paris, you know, and so it's this great, beautiful building that's historic. It looks like a giant greenhouse. And this was a part of this giant Chanel coat, this giant plaster thing that was like 3 or 4 stories tall that was rotating on a Lucy. And then all the models sort of came out and would rotate it around, and then at the very end, you know, Lagerfeld came out, and with this model who I loved, who was sort of, I felt like a Princess Bride.
Yeah, I love this.
He sort of grabbed her hand. Yeah. But he said to me, he's like, you know, you do what you do, I do what I do, it's all good. And I realized it's true. You know, these guys really fulfill a space and an obligation in the world. Lagerfeld himself shows in photography.
Is this the same one from the same show? I love when they do shows like that where it's different. It's not just runway back and forth.
Yeah, me too. And I felt like
it's almost like a performance.
Exactly.
And when you said that about performing, it's like that's the only time like I really felt like a model performing. Like I played sports before, and it's like I'm on show on runway.
Right.
And you know, when you're doing print work, you feel like you're working and making money, but I never really felt like I was like putting out a lot of effort, you know?
Like these guys, it really felt like an incredible art show.
Yeah.
That was a performance. It was so sensation, and there was so much narrative and everything that was involved too in terms of how they planned it. And my beginnings really were in comics, and so I always think about narrative. I always think about placement. I usually think about my shows as sort of like comic strips on the wall. And even though it's not a linear narrative with a beginning, a middle, and an end, although this sort of doesn't, you know, with like sort of an ending, I want to have each one like a different mood and a different feeling, and maybe place them in a context that creates a narrative. Like for me, she seems like a lost princess, like trying to find her castle or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually what I was thinking. Like she's just wandering around. I mean, this is just one person. I mean, there's not a lot. You know, there's a lot going on here with a lot of people. Do you feel like in some of these works, it's like the people take the background to the whole scheme of it? You know, like the individual takes the background to the. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the individual secondary, like the individual whatever outfit secondary to the whole scheme of it.
I mean, that was this was the challenge when I was doing it for an interview, because I realized, of course, they want the picture of the dress.
Yeah, exactly.
But I feel that the reason they probably had me as a fine artist doing this is that I hopefully bring something else.
They would just get a copier, like one of those people that in the magazines that can copy the tiger exactly.
Yeah.
You know, why would they just get that guy?
And so I felt my job, at least for them, especially, was, okay, I have to get the dress.
Like, be you. They hired you for a reason, right?
I hope so. And for me too, like, you know, as much as I realize that this is artful, I would much rather look at a painting for 100 years than a dress. And so I'm trying to bring about the whole world around the dress. I was really interested in all the models backstage as much as in the front, you know, unclothed as well as clothed.
It's from my experience back there, I mean, it's crazy. It's like, you know, when I played sports, so you're in the locker room and it's just mayhem, but then you get out there and it looks perfect.
Right.
I was throwing around shoes. Where are my shoes? You know,
well, and just the
hair and the makeup, it's all a big...
Well, the whole circus of it really is a circus. Yeah. And a lot of the modernists who I really revere, these painters that I've been talking about, painted the circus in their time because they felt it was an allegory for life. And I'm hoping this is a little bit allegorical too, for like the transience of our time, or you know, how we love things but then they go, or like how everything is really precious.
Yes. It's like our mortality, yes.
Well, this was backstage at Armani, where they let me just click away, and I have...
it looks like fins or something like from...
Those were like little booties, you know, like little soft booties, and like I have... Like, they totally... None of these people knew why I was there, but they just assumed I belonged because I was a guy.
Well, you did. You did belong there. You gotta get over that. You did belong. You belong.
And we're all like playing our part in this weird world. And then there's Tita Von Teese again, who's this burlesque dancer who found her way in the front row of all these shows. But I thought that was kind of funny because she's also got her looks, but
exactly, they're just totally different. Yeah, like in 40s.
And
sexy
creating
look.
a style and a world around it in order to. And I think of her as being really empowered, or even here, which was, as I said, at the first look at Dior, where they're all getting their makeup on, it really just felt like a circus. And I felt like we were all like in on the joke, and it was like this super...
But then they get out in the performance, and it's Cirque du Soleil. It's perfect, and it's just amazing, and it works, and
and
who knows how it gets done, but it gets done.
It gets done. I really feel that this is an homage to models. Somebody like yourself is like a strong, super smart, confident woman, and I realize that a lot of the people here on the runway are exactly the same. I really do feel an affinity towards that. As an artist, we're always on display, or we always have our work on display. And when I was watching these people on the runway, I really felt of them as like being superheroes or superwomen, and I really wanted to bring their agency into who it was that they were.
Exactly.
That's something that a lot of my heroes really did, and something in art history that's a little hard when a lot of these like white male painters who said they were straight would be objectifying women. The ones who are the greatest, or the ones who are like Manet or Rembrandt or these other people, hopefully bringing the agency of who these people were, you know, in the mind where you feel who they are as people, and that they're thinking individuals who just happen to be wearing dresses. But they're hired because they can bring something more to the mix. And for me, part of the whole aura of this was really way beyond the dress. It was more about the atmosphere, the world.
You covered the whole like situation. It encompasses everything. Your vision and.
That's what I'm trying to do. I hope that comes across. I'm glad that you picked that up, because it's really about the whole thing. But these are the major players. These are the ones who I really wanted to focus on, and the designers too. The sort of the Machiavellian people behind the scenes. But these are their vehicles. These people that really need to carry the show, and in their own right, be stars. I see this as a very beginning of a whole body of work called Art and Fashion, where it will really be sort of in question, what is art, and then also what is fashion.
In fact, it brings you, you know, full circle to where you didn't necessarily think art and fashion kind of melded, and now
that's right.
You're buying into it, which is good.
It's a little strange. It's a little strange. I want to keep
but
myself.
now I know what they meant.
Well, I want to
I
keep
only
my
known 15 years ago. No, I'm teasing.
well, I want to keep my soul and my integrity
Sure.
into the mix, but I realize that this is a lot of soul and integrity. Maybe addresses superfluous, but life is a little superfluous.
I definitely see your heart in your work, and I think it's amazing.
I hope
And
so.
it was just, yeah, it's just a pleasure to meet you.
Well, thanks very much.
I
hope,
wish you the best of luck in the future.
Thanks. I hope my life is in here, in my work, and hopefully
Definitely
other
you can
people
see
can
it.
get something out of it too.
They will.
Thank you.